Welcome, this is Fred from UTV Obsessions. Today we're working on this Maverick R. We're installing this Freedom pipe from Treal exhaust. It's the Patriot exhaust. So today we're going to install it on this guy. Some of the tools you'll need is some 10 millimeters, some 13 millimeters, couple ratchets. You can do it without the power tools, but I'm going to go ahead and do it with power tools. So let's jump right into it and get this exhaust on. First thing you're gonna have to do is get rid of some of these heat shields. They take some 10 millimeters. So there's 3 of them here. This one's a little more intricate. There's some 10 millimeters up on the top, some 10 millimeters down at the bottom. There's a couple clamps to take a 7. So I've loosened the shock out of the way, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to get everything out. You don't technically have to, but for me it's gonna be a little bit easier. So let's get right into it. So down in here you have the O2 sensor. So there's a little clip right there, and the plug is right up there. So I don't really like to just loosen these things up in the car, so I always like to take them out. So I use my pry tool, my clip remover pry tool, and I get in there, pop it loose there, get up there, pop that guy loose, and then get to where the button's at, press the button, and disconnect that guy. So now, when you remove the pipe, you can remove this entire section of the pipe with the O2 sensor, and you don't damage the O2 sensor. So a couple things you're going to have to do is you're going to have to remove these springs to loosen up this middle section. And there's a V-band right here that you'll have to loosen up. It's 11 millimeter. So I have to loosen that guy up to loosen up the V-band to get the center section out. And then we'll deal with the pipe. So these V-bands, because they're right on the exhaust, they get hot, and they like to get a lot of the soot and the corrosion right on there on the end of the thread, so they don't always like to come apart. So you have to get this pretty far apart so you can get the V-band to expand and get the pipe out of the way. But some of the problems we're going to run into is right there. The nut has stopped coming out, so it is now stuck. But we don't reuse that V-band, so if we have to destroy the V-band to get it off, then that's what we have to do. Alright, so I finally got this thing off. Unfortunately, this one suffered this. I had to end up prying these out of the way to get the T-handle out to get it off. But once you guys get this clamp off, it should be able just to pop right on out, just like so. So I've already gone through and taken this out already, and so we don't need this pipe anymore. So after this pipe's out of the way, you'll have to take off the 3 13 millimeters that hold on the tip and the spark arrestor. And then there's 4 bolts. There's 2 13s here and 2 13s on the other side that do have nuts on the back side. So you'll need a wrench and a ratchet. And then once you get that all off, you should be able to go ahead and just wiggle this guy right on out of the hole. There she is.
I'm going to show you the difference between that and that sexy thing. That's what we got going on.
So I've removed the O2 sensor out of the other pipe. So when you're dealing with all the new stuff, be sure to put some gloves on. Any oils that you put on this, when you get it hot, it will burn into the stainless, and then those fingerprints on those oils are going to be there forever. So make sure you keep them nice and clean when you're doing all this kind of stuff. So go ahead and put your O2 sensor in, screw it in there nice, take a wrench and just snug it up. And then once you get done doing that, make sure that this guy's tight. Grab one clamp go back over the car and we'll start installing it. So I put the other two bolts in there and I tightened those up, and these are just snugged in there just to make sure that we have plenty of space in here. We might have to adjust these for the head pipe. So now that this is all in, we can go ahead and put the head pipe in. So you need both V-bands that come in the kit. They are a 13 millimeter. So we'll get the pipe in, put the V-bands on, and then snug those up. Alright guys, so I got my V-bands on here. As you can tell, they're down below it, but they will slide up and over. Sometimes you can just leave the nut loose, but this way I can get it right on to the pipe. So this end goes up towards the muffler, this end goes to the turbo. So they have grooves, and it should slide right into place. Get your V-band up there. Get her snugged up by fingers. That way it'll self-center itself. Do the same for down here at the turbo. Joe makes a fantastic product. These V-bands are top notch. Piping is gorgeous. Huge shout out to Treal. I always do these by hand. I don't really like using impacts on them. That way you can really see how tight these things really are with impacts. Sometimes you just don't realize and you're just torquing it down way too tight. Alright guys, there it is. It's installed. Now you have to just re-plug this guy back in, right from where it was at. You might have to move this zip tie to get her put back in a little hole, but that's okay. Move the zip tie just a little bit, plug her back in, and there it is. Now we'll go ahead and wipe this all down, make sure there's no greasy fingerprints, no sweat, no nothing, and then we'll fire this thing up. Okay, so I'm wiping this all down, making sure that there's no greasy fingerprints or nothing on this thing. You also have to, now that we have that head pipe in there, you have to snug these two bolts back down all the way so they don't move. And no, I have not gone ahead and reinstalled the heat shield over the manifold yet. Everything's tight, everything's installed. We're gonna go ahead and fire this thing up, see how it sounds like.
See what this Patriot exhaust sounds like compared to that old can they had in there.
With this car going through its heat cycle, I've rechecked all the clamps. I've brought the shield back down in position. I will put the lower shield on and I'll re-put all the bolts and the one clamp back on it. And that buttons this guy up. Like and subscribe for more videos, more install. Go to the channel, and you guys have a great day.